What up, everybody? I know it's been a couple of weeks, but hey, I'm trying to become more consistent, so hopefully this is the start of being more consistent, but hey, it is what it is. I release these videos when I can. I appreciate all of you that are viewing these videos, as well as my past videos and whatnot. I'm rambling, sorry. Got so much to talk about. First things first, let's talk a little business. Next Saturday, Clear Lake Sports and Recreation Center. Reality Wrestling's next television taping. Mysterious Q returns. Will he be masked? Will he be unmasked? We'll find out. And somewhat of a return, but a debut. Athena returns to the Booker T fold, so to speak, but she makes her reality wrestling debut. She's one of the top wrestlers in the world, probably one of the best athletes I've seen, male or female, and really enjoy her work. Very excited to see her at a reality wrestling show. Wrestling, hope everyone gets a kick out of that. So that is July 18th. Then, on Friday, August 7th, Reality Wrestling goes to Nacogdoches, Texas, for not the very first road show, but, you know, probably the furthest we've ventured from Houston. That'll be August 7th, like I said. And then August 8th, that Saturday, we're in Humble, Texas, making our return to Humble, Texas for Summer of Champions 2! Oh man, already some special guests have been announced. Should be one hell of a show, but you can go to realitywrestling.com, their Facebook, or you can download the Reality Wrestling app, the Row app. Yeah, or watch the show, whether it be on YouTube or on the Cube. I want to say that YouTube and the Cube are almost identical, so what you see on YouTube you should see on the Cube. I think the Cube is, yeah, so I think they're pretty much caught up. I know that they're airing one tonight, later tonight, 1 a.m. So yeah, so yeah, that's about all the business. Now, in my last video, if you had seen my last video on Kevin Owens, my thoughts on Kevin Owens, I mentioned that I would talk about Tough Enough, give my thoughts on Tough Enough. And had I done the video within a week following, probably right after the special aired, then it would have been timely. But once they got into the second or third episode, you know, I hadn't released a video, so I thought, well, I'll hold off on doing the Tough Enough, my thoughts on Tough Enough, until the very end when they name the winners. I've enjoyed it so far, for the most part, but I won't go too much into detail. I've had some friends who have some opinions about it. I'll cover my thoughts and what I've read, what I've seen, and all that when the Tough Enough concludes. I will probably post a video or two before then, so that won't be necessarily my next video. I have an idea for my next video, but we'll get into that later. Wrestling-wise, I'm trying to think. I'm caught up for the most part. Like, caught up on NXT, I'm caught up on Raw and SmackDown, I'm caught up on Impact Wrestling for the most part. No, I'm caught up. I just finished watching the most recent airing. I'm caught up on Ring of Honor for the most part. No, I'm caught up on them as well. Let me think. Lucha Underground, I have about 15 episodes on my DVR now. The thing is that El Rey ran a marathon of sorts, so I'm sure some of those are duplicative, but my DVR picked them up anyway, even though I only wanted first run shows. So we'll see what that actually translates to. And I'm about 7 episodes behind on New Japan, but a couple of those are from a marathon that they had earlier this year, which covered some stuff from their first season. I guess they're in their second season. So yeah, I'm close. I'm close, but yeah, it's a bit. But with those, it's kind of like binge watching. I'll just at some point sit down and watch those, and they're not the only shows I'm behind on. I mean, there's, like, I'm behind on The Following, I'm behind on The Last Man on Earth, I'm behind on iZombie. I watched the first couple of episodes on that. I'm one episode behind on True Detective, a couple of episodes behind on Humans. Like, I'm behind on stuff. There's just not enough hours in the day. And on top of that, PS4, virtual new item to be brought into the home, and with that was Arkham Knight, and I'm like 20-30% into that. But we also have WWE 2K15, which we're going through, and with GameFly I got Call of Duty, I want to say Advanced Warfare, which has started playing, so I'll get finished with those at some point, I'm sure. But the main topic of this, a couple things prompted this that I will get into. But really what got me thinking about it was a comment I had made. I posted maybe a day or two after the airing of EC3's TNA World Heavyweight title win against Kurt Angle, which had aired, and a couple days later I made a comment about it. Now, mind you, they've done these tapings a while back, a couple weeks back, so and they're airing what they taped. So it had already been known that EC3 was going to win the title. I had known about that prior to watching it. Didn't really ruin my enjoyment. Watched it anyway. And then when I made a comment about it, congratulating him on his win and kind of saying, oh, well, you know, NXT produces another champion, someone had commented on my status update, or my comment on his title win, about saying spoilers. She had yet to see it. She was going to download it after, because I don't think she had the channel. I do have Destination America. I got it recently, as I've mentioned in the past. But it got me to thinking about spoilers and how they've affected me and my enjoyment of entertainment. So I wanted to get into a couple of those things. Now, I have been spoiled in the past. Most memorable, probably the peak of where I let spoilers, and this not so much a spoiler as a lie that made me anticipate something happening in a movie that did not happen. And I thank my friend Adrian. I will always remember this. We both went to see Troy when it came out. Big fan of the movie. Loved the trailer. Thought the cast was great. Big fan of Brad Pitt. All that. Adrian had seen the movie. I want to say had seen it prior to seeing it, and he wanted to see it again. So he went with me to watch it. And before we went to see it, I think as we were on the way, or after we got the tickets, he told me a quote-unquote spoiler. And basically he was saying, well, when Hector and Achilles fight, it's going to look like Hector's going to be completely defeated, and then in a desperate attempt, as it looks like Brad's going to kind of torture him, but, you know, Achilles is going to torture Hector before he kills him. I think he puts like his shin against his neck or something like that. Somehow he escapes, and Hector bites, this is what Adrian tells me, bites him in the Achilles, and that's how Achilles, and then he beats down Achilles and kills him. And I was, I don't know, there's something about how he said it. I should have known that was not going to occur, but I assumed that was going to, so it was my bad for assuming. But he had made it sound like that was the spoiler. Anyway, we get to the Hector Achilles scene, and I'm anticipating this, comeback by the babyface, so to speak, in Hector, and did not happen. Did not happen. I thought he was going to come back to life after being dragged through the sand. I thought there was going to be at some point. And that probably was the peak of a spoiler, really like a spoiler in the sense, but again, it was kind of like a lie, so not truly a spoiler. Unlike spoilers that I've done to myself, so to speak. One in particular for Walking Dead, the comic. Now, I probably knew about Walking Dead when it first came out. Maybe I've read the first few issues. Wasn't part of my collecting rotation at the time. But once I was able to, I started getting the trades. So I read them through the trades. I can get through the trade pretty quickly, but it's I get to it a lot slower than I would get through one issue. A lot of times an issue, man, I can get through in 5-10 minutes. So anyway, my same friend Adrian, as a gift, got me the 100th issue of Walking Dead when it came out. I wasn't there yet as far as my reading goes, because the trade I was on was not close to 100. Like I'm on 23 now, so I'm not sure what that translates as far as issues go. Maybe 120, 130, and they're on 143 or 44 or something like that. But anyway, he gave me the 100th issue, wasn't caught up, and I decided to kind of skim it. You know, I mean, I was going to bag and board it, as it's a collector's item, but I thought, I'll peruse it real quick. And I happened to turn to the middle of the page, and not that big of a spoiler. If you haven't read it, my bad, but hey, this is, you knew this was probably about spoilers, so there were going to be spoilers. Glenn dies, and it shows this gruesome splash page of his head getting bashed in, and crying for Maggie. Anyway, and I opened it and quickly shut it and cursed myself for ruining it for me. But it didn't ruin it once I got to that trade and revisited that event. It just added to it because I was anticipating that happening. I'll say this, speaking of Adrian, we've been buddies for a lot of years, so I kind of use him as an example, but he won't watch trailers. Pretty recently, I mean, before filming this, I talked about the Comic-Con exclusive Batman v Superman trailer that just came out. I will watch trailers. I will. I don't have a problem with watching trailers. I know some people, Adrian's primarily one of them, and I have other friends who do this, that say I don't watch trailers because they give too much away of the movie. As if this is a new phenomenon, because I can remember a movie in the 70s, like those trailers would give away pretty much the entire movie. You knew all the major events. So the trailers have gotten a little bit better. Some do. Some, you get some of those big moments, or worse, you get moments in the trailer that never appear in the movie, which is even worse. But I do watch trailers. They don't affect me. They don't affect my view of it. I remember, like, he wouldn't watch, he was a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy before the movie came out. Like, he was a big fan of the comic, big fan of the series. And when the trailer came out, he refused. If it was airing on TV, he would walk away from the room. Because he says it just ruins his enjoyment. He wants to go into the movie without an idea of what's going to happen. I'm not that guy. I'll watch the first 8 minutes of a movie or whatever. You know, when they do, like when Nolan was doing the Batman series, and he would air, the first 8 minutes of something. It just added to the anticipation. If nothing else, the Batman v Superman has just really enticed me to want to see more. I can't wait. Now, social media has spoiled a lot of things for a lot of people. I typically don't get to watch anything live. There are very few things I can watch live. I don't get to watch Raw live. I watch it on a delay. SmackDown, I wait a couple of days. Impact, a few days. But there's shows. American Ninja Warrior, I wait a few days to watch that. But social media, I like, case in point, Beast in the East. I was gonna stay up to watch Beast in the East when it was gonna air. I passed out. It was July 4th, so I didn't get to watch it till like that night when I got home, and went on Facebook or Instagram, saw a picture of Finn with the title, like earlier that morning, you know, after the event, but early in the morning when I woke up. So I saw that, and then I saw like the closing moments of the match. Didn't ruin it for me. I was down to still see it. I was even more intrigued. Like, I can remember when Rock returned to Raw. It was Valentine's Day. I mean, my girl had gone out. She's a big Rock fan. And I think we both saw on Facebook that they showed a clip of him returning. And we finished our meal faster so we could get home, so we could watch Raw up until that point and watch it as it happened. So yeah, like, I don't know. I have friends who will talk wrestling and sometimes will message me, and I have yet to get home, and they'll tell me about something that went down on Raw, like, why would they do that? I'm like, well, I haven't seen it yet. So yeah, I don't know, you know. I very little spoils it for me. I will say what does spoil it for me is people's opinions of said, like when they're critiquing said event. That was mainly with TNA. I stopped watching Impact in large part because anytime I would listen to someone talking about TNA or talking about what they saw, they had nothing good to say, and therefore I was like, well, what's the point of going to see it if you didn't like it? Why would I like it? So it's more the people's opinions that can spoil it for me, not the I can see results here and there, and it does not do anything for me. So yeah. Now, before I end this video, is going to be kind of short, but it's okay. It's okay. If it makes it more consistent, then there you go. There you go. Because I am cutting. No, I don't want to say that. Although I've got a full slate of gameplay to do today and some things to watch. But hey, I wanted to put out a video, obviously, because I'm putting one out. So it's not like, oh, it's such a hardship. Not at all. I enjoy doing this, obviously, and I enjoy people who give me their feedback and their views and enjoy my stuff and support it. Now, speaking of people who support it, people who are my friends, the last video, prior to it, I had said, hey, if anyone had any questions, and my buddy Hugh, who I know through the wrestling business, had asked me my opinion about who in WWE would I rebrand. And I thought that was a really interesting question, and he had some nice things to say. You know, I've done some character development stuff, so he was like, you know, who would you take? And I think had I answered it at that point, I would have said Adam Rose. Because of the E60 thing, and I could kind of see they really didn't know what they were going to do with him to some degree, and I thought, man, they could do something with that guy. But I think they found something for him. I think he's always going to be, I hate to say it, probably always going to be a mid-card act. Because there's only so much you can get out of him. Like, initially you can do a lot with Adam Rose because you're creating this kind of larger than life character. You can go either one or two ways with that. You make him self-destruct because that would be some hint of realism, like the party's too much for him, or the pressure, or you know, you take the realistic approach with him and you paint him as a family man who's just trying to make his way and this is his last shot type of deal. I mean, you could have done that, whether it be through contract, you know, like your contract's coming up, like even something as simple as the Authority saying something to that effect, and it would put that realistic spin, like, well, there's other guys who want opportunities, and let's face it, we've given you an opportunity after opportunity. But again, that paints this realistic picture, which they do to some extent, so why not? But I would say this, because the guy is supposedly doing an injury angle. If I were to rebrand anyone, or kind of change them to some degree, I would change Dolph Ziggler to some degree. Now, this is what I would do. I would keep him off TV for a little while. I'll talk about Lana in a minute, but Dolph's always been a guy that people like. People like his in-ring work. I think his Money in the Bank cash-in was one of the greatest moments in Raw history. I feel like he was kind of snake bit. You know, the concussion, just bad timing. It happens though. And it might paint this picture of, or this idea. Outside of what he does in the ring, the only other things I hear about him, I heard what he dated Amy Schumer and the things that she said about him, which painted a really good positive picture for him as something he can brag about. But at the same time, it's the stuff that he would put out on social media. Now, what I would tell people is, while that's good to be vocal, if you're part of a corporation, the corporation doesn't want to hear people be negative about their product, especially if they're employees of said product. You can get fired for that stuff. If you speak derogatory, in a derogatory manner about a corporation, you happen to work for said corporation, and you put it out there for the world to see. So now you're this employee who supposedly wants to continue to get paid, but you are disgruntled and you're being vocal about it. It doesn't really always work well, especially if there are not that many options for a person in this line of work. There are not that many opportunities. I mean, you could go to Japan potentially, and maybe something will go there. You could try Global Force, although that's new. Who knows? You can go to TNA. Again, who knows? Ring of Honor on the rise, but again, who knows? And outside of those companies, Mexico, Lucha Underground, maybe. Work on the indies, possibly. But again, who has the biggest stage? Let's be honest, they have a network, so on and so forth. Here's what I would do. I would sit down with Dolph, and I would say everything that you do works, to some degree. Now, there are things that we would like. We'd like to see a little more, you to be a little tougher. You to be a little stronger as far as with your attacks. We'd like to see you not flop around so much. Because it's great to be a great bumper, but that only gets you so far. You have to be able to tell a story. Everything has to mean something, and certain things have to mean more than others. And it's not a knock against his ability. It's just like, how do we get you to connect even further, and more so get people that may not look at you as a legitimate contender as a legitimate contender. And I'm not just talking the audience, I'm talking the people that make the ultimate decision. So what I would do is I would take this moment where he's injured and actually take him off television for a bit. Take him off, give him a break, maybe a month. Let him heal up. Maybe you extend it. Give him a little bit of a break, let him heal his body, let him go train, let him, give him a month or two. And maybe he has a sit down with Michael Cole. Maybe it's something as simple as that. Just to kind of check in with him. And maybe it's for WWE.com. And it's his opportunity to kind of be vocal about what's going on. And he says, man, for the first time in my career, I saw my career being taken away from me. That moment when I faced Rusev, I saw that moment, my career flashed before my eyes. All the good and the bad. And it made me take stock and look in the mirror. I'm never going to let that kind of thing happen to me again. And I would go from there with that. This sense of he's got to go for broke because time is limited for him. And maybe with what he says on that thing, they air it. Like, oh, we caught up, Mike Cole goes, man, maybe like Booker, if Booker's there, or JBL, they have a little segment. He's still not in the ring yet. He's still not back live yet. And they air this thing, and they air the excerpt, and they comment on it, and it really kind of brings the sense like, man, this guy, I think it would make the crowd connect with him that it is real what he's doing, and the chances that he takes can take a toll, and not be and he just comes back with like a chip on his shoulder. He's been considered one of the best guys out there, but he's never been given that chance. He's always kind of been somewhat overlooked to some degree. He can use how he feels disgruntled. He can also use the idea of the contract potentially being up if he signed or re-signed. That I don't know. And I mean, if he has re-signed, then he can't use that. But I would put the reality a little bit. I would take away the show-off factor. I would give him a little bit of an edge, and I would say you got to, that edge that you had against Sheamus, you got to have that all the time, and it can't be a situation where you crash and burn. It's got to be a situation where when you crash into something, they burn. I would do that. In the meantime, with Lana, I would probably just have her continue her evolution from being this prim and proper, proud Russian woman to a woman of America, and embrace the Americanization that she's going through. I think that would continue her down a path. I don't know if I'd have her be really super active, but yeah, I would turn the edge, or at least give more of an edge to Dolph. That would be the guy. I may do these from time to time. It depends, and if somebody has some suggestion about a particular character on one of the shows, feel free to hit me up, and I will break them down as well. So, the next video now, more than likely I will talk about this, because why not? I've been on Instagram for a few weeks, so I will talk about Instagram, what Instagram means to me, my initial thoughts on it, and my plans for at least my profile on Instagram. So, as always, if you have any questions or want me to discuss something, feel free to hit me up with it. Otherwise, again, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your day. I hope everyone has a good one, and until the next time, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy. But as always, if you are watching this show, you definitely are. Until the next time, later!